So I made my PowerPoint on the hope that the county will purchase software licenses for Renaissance Learning, which is a computer adaptive test that will allow basically teachers to gather data on their students. If we look at the goals of our county, I labeled it as increasing student learning, challenge all students, and achieve student growth. These would basically be 3 larger goals where we can have several goals under each one. We want, from our mission statement here at this school, is to provide proper support for all students, which I'm going to touch into on that this computer program differentiates based on student needs. It challenges all students with a relevant and rigorous curriculum, and we're going to increase test scores and benchmark data. I know that we look at test scores at the end of every year, specifically the general summative assessment test, but it's been said that in our county, it's regardless of what those scores show, it's more important for us to show growth, period, of any kind. And this software program allows us to do that in many different ways. So we have a proposed plan of action is for the software program Renaissance Learning should be implemented across the district. And this means is every school across the county, students will get a license to use this program. And I'm not going to read it word for word for you, but it is a testing process that all students are given questions on their grade level to begin, and then based on their answers, which are timed, so it helps prepare them to take their time, there's time tests at the end of the year, it gives them their grade level. So if they would miss that first question, for instance, a lower grade level equivalent question would be asked. And it also offers adaptive pathway lessons that differentiate for the unique needs of students. For instance, if I have a 7th grader who's reading on about an 8th grade reading level, the content included in this software program can be given on an 8th grade level, or if I have a student who tests on a 4th grade level, the same content is going to be delivered in a way that both grade level students can access. So, we continue on. Just a brief overview. It is a computer adaptive test, meaning the same test can be given. If the test is going to adapt itself, teachers don't have to do this to find the unique range of that individual student. Teachers have access to score reports such as their grade level equivalent, their percentile rank nationally, and their zone of proximal development, which we'll get into that later. But teachers can track progress throughout the school year, which is very important for teachers as they are having those data talks with each other in their PLCs. There are 3 types of lessons involved in Renaissance Learning. We have universal, targeted, and intensive. And these are just some ideas of how these universal, targeted, and intensive lessons would be better given in your classrooms, whether it's from whole groups, small groups, or intensive, like for our students who are qualifying in the IEP process or intervention level. So this targeted practice, for instance, can offer enrichment for advanced students who have can kind of go on their own computers and do their own levels while you're working with the smaller groups who need intervention. But there is a K-12 library that contains inquiry-based units incorporating real-world scenarios, which is what our teachers are always striving to deliver in the school system. I included some pictures of the practice skills. There is, I use ELA instead of MAP for my example, but you have a K-12 library, which includes informational articles, skills practice, short passage practice with standards, align multiple choice. And I know that our teachers are going to really appreciate that those skill practices are aligned with the standards from the state. If I see my data and see that my students are struggling with one particular standard, I can search that standard and assign content in that is related to that standard, such as identifying theme, for instance. And then we also have word studies, which are based on word patterns, spelling, Greek and Latin root words, for instance. So I can go in and assign these to my specific students based on their individual needs. It can be completed in the classroom or at home on the student's own pace. With this, year being a challenge like last year as far as virtual learning goes, this can be accessed at home as well. And it has work in both fiction and nonfiction. In language arts with math, this program covers content from kindergarten through higher level math such as Algebra 2. And all lessons are printable, which I find is a huge bonus. There is no excuse like with students in our rural county having unreliable internet. All of these lessons can be printed out on the student's grade level and handed to them. So this is just an example of the K-12 library. You have content that is social studies related, science related, and if you look through on these levels, just for instance, it can be assigned on a 3A, 5, 7, 9, and 11 grade equivalent scale. So it'll be presented to them with what the individual students need to see. It's relevant cross-curricular articles, and teachers can browse and assign them based on their standards, like I've stated before. So I wanted to include a picture of what it would look like if you were browsing for articles, whether you are a math and English teacher or if you're social studies and science. If I'm a science teacher, I can assign an article based on the flu pandemic of 1918. Or if I am a social studies teacher, we can study the 13th Amendment. Even though I'm working on English skills, I can still, as a social studies teacher, find an assignment that is built primarily around a social studies or civics topic. All right, and so here we have what it would look like, what a student is, or what you would see as a teacher if we would adopt this. Text can be read out loud if you have students with in need of accommodations or struggling with certain words, they can hear it as well. We have all articles can be previewed, so I can see exactly what my student on an 8th grade level or what my student on a 3rd grade level is going to see. And this up here is where you would print the article. So if I have a student who, when we go virtual, really struggles with reliable internet, I can print everything and they can have that same resource that the other students are getting on their computers. And then we have these questions over here where this standard is all about analyzing connections, and the kids can see their skills that they're doing, connections and language. So I wanted to include an example of what a teacher would see if they were assigning this to their students. Now, we get to the part about reports. So as students do these tests and as students get assigned this work, how are the teachers going to take that data to see where their students are or where their students need to be? So we have just a shot here of the printed reports. You can see the record books in graph form, chart form. We have instructional planning for student report, their screening, and these can be measured throughout the school year to measure both long-term and short-term, and they give teachers a very accurate baseline of where their students start and as they progress to where they finish throughout the year. These are what we're going to, teachers I would envision using in those data talks with their team levels. Okay, and I know people want to say, well, how do we know that this works? So the school district in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma purchased and implemented Renaissance, and they divided their students into a 3-tier system. These are just some results of what the success was for their particular school district. They saw a 25% tier 3 to tier 2 graduation within 6 months, 99% accuracy in predicting state level reading tests. So if I want to know as an English teacher how my tests are going to perform on the end of the year summative assessment, this is going to give a 99% accuracy based on the benchmark that I give them. And it is a timely identification of learning issues. They were very successful there with this program. Budgeting and funding, what everybody wants to know. For our school, the purchase price, our district, Renaissance Learning would be $220,000 per year of use. It would include 7,465 total licenses for teachers, staff, and students. They're included in that cost is 6 hours of provided on-site professional development. They will come to us and train a select group of our staff members who will go out into their schools and train their staff. We also have 3 hours of hourly coaching to Renaissance Learning faculty members to be regular Wayne County support specialists, and the total cost would be included under our curriculum and technology funding. So there would have no additional fundraising would have to be involved to purchase this program. And We also have external resources, so for everyone to ensure that this would be successful across the district, principals must hold teachers accountable for usage. This can't be something that we say, all right, teachers use this in the classroom and then it's never visited again. Teachers must assign the content. They're not going to get any better using that unless it is assigned. Parents at a home level must urge their students to utilize the content both at home and at school. Achievements can be posted on the school website. Progress reports, we've done that before with students reaching an accuracy or a completion by a certain time. We have stakeholders like the newspaper, which reports like the Dean's List or honor roll, and at a level they can be invited to do this as far as like we've had this many students achieve such growth if we would like to inform the county as a whole. So legal and social or ethical issues, a major strength of acquiring Renaissance learning is that there would be no implications with regards to legal, social, and ethical issues, except we would need to make sure that teachers follow the privacy and the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, ensuring that we can tell people that, oh, they've raised their score 20 points, but withholding that what their original score was, for instance. There is no social messaging aspect of Renaissance, which is a big relief for administrators to know that students will not be using this to communicate with themselves in any way. There are no opportunities to upload personal photos. You don't have to worry about students sharing inappropriate material and content with each other. And finally, we have implementing the software program can help the district show growth. It is individualized, it's printable. Teachers can give this in their classrooms to people with sitting in their classroom on their computer, or students who don't have access to one, whether it's at home or at school for whatever reason. And it is individualized content to meet the needs of all students in relevant formats. So I appreciate you all taking your time to be here and listening. Are there any questions that you have from me? Anything that yes?
I really like the fact that the parents get the reports sent to them.
Yeah, we're gonna send those home. We can do that per 6 weeks with grading reports, or we can send that home in there with showing them their progress as well. So I think parents would really like to know, besides just that A, B, C for every 6 weeks, what grade level are they in, or what is their percentile rank? So I thought parents would really like that.
You talked about benchmarking, but is there a limit, or can you assess them once a month? Or
you can benchmark as many times as you would like.
Many times as you
yeah,
like. Okay.
The school can decide on 3 benchmarks, and then the teacher can do it as many times as she would like. Or if there's an intervention process in place for maybe a student needing an IEP, we can use data from this to back that up. So, is that all? I appreciate you all taking your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.